Well, it turns out that Donald Trump does have about $500 million in cash. Huh. What gives? Was it a ruse? Was he just, I don't know, crying wolf? No, he wasn't. And when you see it, you're going to be PO'd. And then we're going to take a look at Marjorie Taylor Greene has filed a motion to oust Speaker Johnson. And I'm not sure that she's wrong. And then we're going to take a look at, do you remember that video I showed you of these criminal aliens that have overrun the National Guard at our U.S. border? Do you remember that video? It went viral. Well, it turns out it was Trump's fault. Who knew? When I watched it, I didn't think that, Biden's open border policy had anything to do with it. My first thought was that stinking Trump. That was my first thought. Probably yours too. And then we're going to take a look at Candace Owens, and you may not think that this is newsworthy. Allow me to disabuse you of that. It is. All right. It is March 22nd, 2024. I'm Stuart Allister, and this is Cigar Friday. From Fox News, Trump says he has nearly $500 million in cash, suggests he could afford bond in New York AG case, slams hack judge. Well, what gives, Trump? You mean you had the money all along? You mean that you were just, egging us on? We thought this was a really, big issue. Well, it turns out it is a big issue, because turns out they didn't come up with that number out of the blue. These communists are evil. All right, before we get into it, why don't you wreck that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and press that notification bell so you never miss an episode. It turns out that these people are they're just god-awful. Former President Trump says he has nearly $500 million in cash, suggesting he has the money to post bond in the New York civil fraud case on Monday, as required by the judge. Trump and his legal team have applied and requested a stay on his $454 million civil fraud judgment. He is required to post that bond by Monday, so he's got 2 days. Quote, through hard work, talent, and luck, I currently have almost $500 million in cash, a substantial amount of which I intended to use in my campaign for president. That was all of his campaign money. The reason they came up with that number is, for those of you who don't know, donations are public. That's why they can tell you, he got, 60% of his donations came from, private, $5, $20 here, $100 there. That's why they can tell you that, because that stuff is public. This judge and this crooked AG, Letitia James, got that number. So here's the rub. You can post a bond. We know you have the cash. But all you have to do is just, stop running for president. Or go ahead. continue to run for president, and we'll take everything you're worth. You see? Evil. Quote, the often overturned political hack judge on a rigged and corrupt AG case where I have done nothing wrong knew this, wanted to take it away from me. And that's where and why he came up with that shocking number, which coupled with his crazy interest demand is approximately $454 million. He knew it. They knew it. They knew he had the money. I'm telling you right now, I didn't. Did you? Please tell me, leave a comment. Did you know he actually had that money on cash? I didn't even think about his campaign funds. But they did. They knew. Everyone was asking, where in heaven's name did you get that number? It's ridiculous. And I guarantee you, the second Trump heard the amount, he knew right away. Which probably, what would you think? This judge and this ugly AG, rest assured, people like this always get their comeuppance. Because the universe is tilted one certain way. And people like this eventually get their comeuppance. I believe Fani Willis is going to get her comeuppance. I believe that once a disinterested party takes a look at their case, when a disinterested judge takes a look at the evidence, when he sees all of the transcripts from the evidentiary hearing, I believe that those judges are going to say, what the ham is this? You want people to have confidence in our judiciary and you're allowing her to remain on the case? Watch. Yeah, I could be wrong. Hey, I'm wrong all the time. But man, oh man, I don't think I'm wrong on this one, because trust me, when you are one of those judges, those higher ups, the last thing you want is some rogue making sure your office looks like it's a sham. And what Fani Willis has done to the legal system in that county, she made it look like a joke. I think the same is going to happen to Letitia James. That's right. I don't know about the judge. I think the judge is this corrupt, and he's probably, look, man, he's got one foot on a grave, another on the banana peel. I don't know that he's in it for the long haul, and I really don't even care. But the last thing you want is Letitia James to be the governor. You don't want that, New York. You may think you do. You don't. Quote, I did nothing wrong except win an election in 2016, and I wasn't expected to win. Did even better in 2020, and now lead by a lot in 2024. This is communism in America. This is communism in America. It absolutely is. No trial, no jury, no crime, no victim, only a crooked judge and a corrupt, Trump-hating attorney general who takes her orders directly from the White House. You think that these people, this Fani Willis and Letitia James, you think they're doing this on their own? You don't think that Joe Biden has his nasty paws in this, stirring up the pot, sniffing them, sniffing their hair and giving them, back massages with his wrinkled, crusty fingers? Of course he is. Trump wrote both of his posts in all capital letters. Trump lawyers on Monday said the ongoing diligent efforts have proven that a bond in the judgment's full amount is a practical impossibility amid attempts to approach about 30 surety companies. They're not going to give you the money. Now, if you saw my video I think I made it on Thursday, if you saw that video, you know why they're not going to give him the money. Because if he loses on appeal, the only way to go get that money then is Donald Trump. So they run the risk of losing the money they gave to Trump to pay this bond. Now, I, for one, think he has a really strong case. It's just, it would have to go all the way to the Supreme Court, and because he's not going to get justice in New York. You got to know that. He's not going to get a fair trial in New York or in Washington, D.C. That's just never going to happen. The populace is suffering from Trump derangement syndrome as crime runs rampant. They're more interested in Donald Trump. You would think that the citizens of New York would be up in arms. So you're trying to kill all these jobs because when you get rid of, Donald Trump and the Trump Tower and all that, you're ruining those jobs. You're ruining the ancillary jobs, and you're not even dealing with the crime that's gone on, unaccounted for. Dear Lord, people. The lawyer said the enormous magnitude of the bond requirement, which effectively requires cash reserves approaching $1 billion, is unprecedented for a private company. James has pushed back, calling Trump's request for a stay extraordinary and improper. Hey, what do you mean you need time? We're not going to give you any time. What do you mean you don't have the money? She knows he has the money. We just read it. Why? Because they know how much he's taken in for his campaign. I don't even know that. And if any of you know, you let me know. But I don't know that. Can you use that campaign money for personal use? I mean, technically, I guess it wouldn't be for his personal use. It would be necessarily for his campaign, so he could continue to campaign. Right? I don't know. That looks hairy to me. I'm not sure. Trump should be able to secure the entire value via multiple sureties or offer his real estate holdings as collateral. You can run for office or you can lose all of your net worth. Now, I just heard today, I don't have it pulled up. Apparently, the SEC is about to approve the Truth Social, his platform. And it's a merger. And he stands to get a windfall of about $4 billion. Now, if some of you are out there thinking, $4 billion, holy crap. Well, you can't just go and start taking out, that money. You can't just go start selling that stock, particularly $500 million. that you would have to, that would take a process. I'm not a financier, but I know that just because you got that money does not mean you get to go and just cash it in. I believe there are laws against that. There are laws against that, and for good reason. People get in there, and the stock prices go through the roof, and the person sells it all, and then it plummets. So I think there are laws against that, but it's not like, so here's my point. Donald Trump is not going to be broke. That's my point. As much as this crooked judge and this communist attorney general would like to ruin Donald Trump, they can't. And I know how bad they want to ruin Donald Trump, because they're all suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. So I think that once it's all said and done, if you guys saw my video, I believe it was yesterday, he may just have to let Letitia James and this crooked judge take the property. And, he doesn't have to do any of this stuff. He could be relaxing at Mar-a-Lago and hanging out with Melania and doing deals around the world, flying in a private jet. He does not have to be going through this. I only hope that all of these people that are after him rue the day. Well, according to the Daily Wire, Marjorie Taylor Greene files motion to oust Mike Johnson as House Speaker. Just right off the bat, we haven't read anything. What comes to mind? What do you think about that? Because my first initial thought, at first blush, was, why can't we just get this together? What the ham is happening? But let's take a look at it, because I'm interested to know what you think. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion. She filed it. She didn't threaten to file it. She filed it to oust Mike Johnson as House Speaker on Friday. Greene filed a motion to vacate the Speaker as tensions flare over the vote on a $1.2 trillion spending bill. According to the Daily Caller, Johnson spearheaded negotiations over the bill, the last chance to avoid a government shutdown. Remember what Matt Gaetz said? The whole, government shutdown. It's always looming. It's a bug in the system. It isn't a bug in the system. This is what he said. It's not a bug in the system. It's a feature in the system. They need it you have to be against that wall. Why? So they can put all this garbage in the bill. And so you got 1,000 pages that you have to read in one night. And so everyone's back is against the wall. It's like you're a bakery and nobody will decide what kind of pie you want. No one wants shepherd pie. No, I don't want that kind of crap. No one wants huckleberry. I don't want a huckleberry pie. I don't want that kind of pie. I hate that pie. And so right at the end, right at the very end, just before we're about to toss it in the oven, well, this is what we're going to do. And you better stick your knife in it and carve out your slice. And so everybody starts carving out their slice of the pie. And then once we get it, well, I'll tell you what we are going to do. We're going to make it a shepherd's pie. There you go. And then we're going to shove this pie down your throat. Because nobody can decide what pie everyone wants. That's why Matt Gaetz said, single issue bills. Green spoke out against the bill from the House floor on Monday morning. Quote, no Republican in the House of Representatives can in good conscience vote for this bill. It is a complete departure from all of our principles. She said, specifically mentioned provisions of the bill that deal with convenience and border security. Now, I tell you, okay, this is a bill that Joe Biden would love to sign. And that should tell you all you need to know. Okay, if they put all that crap in there, and I don't know because I haven't seen the bill, but if they put all that stuff in there about the border, which essentially is codifying what's happening at the border right now, this is not your country anymore. They have given away United States sovereignty. That's what it amounts to. And that's not hyperbole. Like, it means they have just sold away our sovereignty. Get this. This bill will obviously destroy our majority and will tell every single one of our voters that this majority is a failure. This is the bill that the White House can't wait to sign into law. I've told you, I think it is a failure. Even with this, I think it's a failure. Even if it doesn't go through, I think it's a failure. It's not like they're getting anything done. Seriously, they're running around trying to get Hunter Biden, which I understand he should have to pay a cost because it's all connected to Joe Biden. But what are they getting done? Green reportedly did not mark the resolution privileged, a procedural tool that would then require House leadership to schedule a vote on the motion within 2 legislative days. She may mark the resolution as privileged later, however. Get this. Johnson took over as House Speaker, blah, blah, blah. You already know about that. Johnson expedited the spending omnibus bill through the House this week ahead of an expected government shutdown. See? The bakery is going to shut down. We got to decide on a pie. Quote, we have to govern, Johnson said, according to the Wall Street Journal. We have to demonstrate that we can keep this thing together and keep the train on the tracks, close quote. We have to demonstrate that we can keep this thing together and keep the train on the tracks. I was a fan of Mike Johnson. Now, not so much. Maybe the train needs to be derailed. Maybe it's time for this train to fly off the tracks. In other words, since nobody can decide on what pie to make, maybe the bakery just needs to shut down indefinitely. Yeah, but if the government shuts down, no one is going to get paid. What do you mean no one's going to get paid? You lost me there. You lost me. What do you mean nobody's going to get paid? Hold on. You mean government employees are not going to be paid? Is that what you mean? Well, yes. Okay. I'm willing to take that bullet. Yeah, let it shut down. Let it shut down for a month or two or a quarter. Let's see what happens. I'm telling you, this whole government shutdown is a ruse. Like Matt Gaetz said, it's not a bug in the system, it's a feature. They use this as a means to an end. They don't want to fix this problem. They want that problem. They need that problem to cram all that crap that they want in this bill. And I'm telling you, if anything about the border is in that bill that Joe Biden can't wait to sign, you just signed over the sovereignty of your country. Look, you guys tell me what you think about this. I don't like it. As I've said before, I was a Mike Johnson fan. I didn't think he was doing a bad job, but I don't care about the government shutting down. Do you? No, seriously, do you care? Still, what about the libraries? What about the parks? And what about... Yeah, they won't get paid. Right. They won't get paid. All the people at Capitol Hill, none of them will get paid. I'll always remember, the government is broke. You know how I know that? Because you're the one that actually pays the bills. You're the one who pays the bills. Don't think for a second that, well, the government is actually the ones who pay. No, they don't. You do. So I, for one, say, let it fly off the tracks. Why not? I, for one, I'm willing to take that bullet. From the Daily Wire, White House responds to footage of illegal immigrant border charge, blames Trump. I mean, this is par for the course, right? Of course it's Donald Trump's fault. How could it not be? I mean, after all, he's been out of office and for what, 3 years? Clearly, it's Donald Trump's fault. When I saw that incident, I thought to myself, that stinking orange man. This is unbelievable, man. The Biden administration has responded to the viral video showing a large group of illegal immigrants charging Texas National Guard troops at the U.S. southern border on Thursday, telling the Daily Caller that the former President Donald Trump is to blame for the chaos. That's what the White House says. No, it's Trump's fault. You have people that are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. And since they're suffering from TDS, they will absolutely buy that. That's right, it is Trump's fault. Now, they don't know how it's his fault. They just know the White House said it, and it must be so. Video captured the New York Post showed dozens of migrants overrunning National Guard troops who were stationed at the border in El Paso, Texas. The Post reported that around 600 migrants were illegally trying to enter the U.S. when the group of what appeared to be all men. I've seen the video. I showed you guys the video. I don't see one woman. I don't see babies, in desperate need for milk and bread. I see military-aged men. They broke through razor wire and began shoving the soldiers. That must have taken an enormous amount of restraint. Now, you know what happens if they end that standoff. I mean, they could have ended it. But this problem would have exploded, and Democrats would be gloating all the way to the White House. You just gotta, all you have to do is play it through your mind. The National Guard, mows down asylum seekers. All they wanted to do is get in there so they can be reunited with their family. And these National Guards, all of these mega Republicans that are backing Greg Abbott, they're to blame. Your country is being taken away from you. Not hyperbole. It's being taken away from you. Right by right, square inch by square inch. Quote, "We're grateful for the Border Patrol's quick work to get the situation under control and apprehend the migrants," a White House spokesperson said in a statement. Quote, "When the former president told congressional Republicans to block the bipartisan border security agreement, he said to blame him for it. Well, he got his wish, and the result was chaos after Governor Abbott's Operational Lone Star and razor wire were overrun yesterday. While we cannot comment on individual cases, you could, you just won't. Anyone who does not have a legal basis to remain in the United States is promptly removed. That's just not the case. No, they aren't. They're given bus tickets and plane tickets, and they can go wherever they want. You guys proved that by voting down getting rid of illegals that are convicted of DUIs. This is what I mean. If something exploded at that border, last month, House Republicans rejected a bill pushed by President Joe Biden and approved by the Senate that aimed to address certain border security issues. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It didn't address it. It codified it. It made what's happening at the border today a permanent thing. That we will be getting, thousands and thousands and thousands constantly. The Republicans' rejection of the legislation came after Trump said only a fool or a radical left Democrat would vote for the bill, because he was right. He knew what was in the bill. And so, of course, they're going to blame Republicans. They're going to blame Donald Trump. Like somehow, somewhere, no, it's Trump's fault. He's the one that told them not to do it. This is the game they play. And it is a sick game. I need to show you guys something because, well, take a listen.
Rumors are true. I am free. Welcome to my locals page. So
that's not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this.
And it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. This is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. It's done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. The next stage is destabilization. It takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have normalization. It may last indefinitely. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth.
I promise you.
To destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C. Your leftists, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation.
That's how you do to destroy America. Succinct and to the point. Succinct and to the point. Hold on a second. I think
You be trying to steal my house.
Listen
yes,
to
you
this.
Are.
How about that? A squatter standoff. A property owner confronts a group of people she says moved into her $1 million home in Queens, and our cameras were rolling as dozens of officers showed up.
Just to bring you guys up to speed, we're talking about demoralization. Like just knocking the wind out of you. This young lady had a home that was she inherited. But squatters came. Squatters came and demanded that the house was theirs. Now, whose side do you think the officers are on? For those of you who don't know, I am a back the blue guy. I think law and order is good. I am absolutely ashamed of these officers, what you're about to witness. I'm going to try not to interrupt, but just listen to this. We're talking about demoralizing Americans.
Several people were taken away in handcuffs, and one of those arrested may surprise you.
Investigative reporter Dan Krauth joins us now with more on what happened. Tell us, Dan.
Well, this is a very big growing problem. I received dozens of tips from viewers about this in just the past week. I went to do what I thought was going to be a routine interview. Instead, we capture what police and property owners are dealing with on a daily basis.
I have video of you. Who are these people? Figure out the situation. Yeah, but they're in my house, man. Relax. No.
To understand how this day ended,
We need the police right away.
with multiple 911 calls and arrests, we have to start at the beginning. Adele, the hardest question is, how do you say your name? We met Adele Andaloro outside the home her parents left her in Flushing, Queens. She's in the process of selling it.
No, he locked it.
But she's been locked out. She claims squatters moved in on February 6th and refused to leave. What's it like being here knowing you can't go inside of your own home?
It's enraging. It really is.
In New York, squatters have rights after 30 days.
By the time that someone does their investigation and they do their work and their job, we'll be well over the 30 days, and this man will have stolen my home. And now she's back.
Just after wrapping up our interview, a woman showed up. What are you doing in the house? Are you renting this house? Why are you here? She unlocked the front door, saw our cameras, and took off.
It's open. Let's go in the house. It's open.
Adele and her daughter, with the property deed in hand, went inside.
This is my furniture. These are my curtains.
She didn't just find her belongings inside.
There's a man sleeping right there. Get out of my house.
She found 2 men. How long have you lived here?
I moved in about 2 days ago.
They've called the police on me, and I've called the locksmith. I didn't come in illegally. The door was open.
Police started interviewing neighbors and looking for documents.
Do you have something that shows that you've been here for more than 30 days?
They took the man who told me he had been renting for 2 days out in handcuffs.
They got one out.
And escorted the other guy off the property. Now you're afraid to come out.
I'm not coming out. This house is empty. This is my home. My locksmith is on the corner waiting to change my locks. And it's not fair. It's not fair that I, as the homeowner, should be having to go through this.
How you doing? Minutes later, a locksmith showed up. But police gave her a warning before they left.
I may end up in handcuffs today if this man shows up here and says that I have illegally evicted him. I said to them, let him take me to court the way I've been told to take him to court. But today, I'm not leaving my house.
Less than 10 minutes after police left and the locks were changed.
That's not going on.
The man who claims to be the one actually leasing the house shows up.
Call the police again.
With the other guy, police took off the property.
Do you see this? This guy just literally broke down my door, broke through myself and my daughter to get in here. This guy just forced himself into my house. No, he did not. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. And so did you. You broke through the front door.
Officer.
The man called the police on her.
So why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. We need to go to court.
They consider this a landlord-tenant issue. And by law, it has to be handled through the housing court, not with police. If you own this house, you would not want her inside.
I don't own the house. I don't own this.
Exactly,
yes.
She does.
Yes, but then once again, you should know how the law works.
I do know how it works.
There's rules to the as you got to go to court and send me to civil court.
He says he signed a lease in October, but wouldn't tell us with who.
I got proof longer than that.
Show us the proof.
But who are you for me to show? I showed it to cops.
Dan with Channel 7 News. If you don't want to show it, you don't want to show it.
Proof. Come here, brother. I like that.
I would like to see it. He didn't show me a lease. This is a bill. A bill for work he says he had done to the house. He didn't show police a lease either.
The police department doesn't have the lease?
No.
He's got no documentation.
Just bills.
So Adele, you're getting arrested right now?
I'm being arrested.
For what?
For being in my own home.
And where's your lease?
She's fighting the house. It's not her house anymore.
My deed is current and legal.
Arrested for unlawful eviction. She changed the locks on a man who claims he lives there. So how does this all end then? When do you leave?
The way it ends is either she pays me my money that I put into the house, pay me the money, and I'll leave, or send me to court, and we deal with the judge in court. It's that simple.
She was taken away. She was handcuffed. A house left to her. The cops took her to jail. He has no documentation. We're talking about demoralizing Americans. These policies in New York, they serve the criminal. Imagine your parents just passed away, leaving you the house, and the gardener or somebody who did some work on the house has been staying there and says you can't come in when your name is in the will. And by the way, if you want to go to court, well, let's do, all she has to do is go to court. You got to be kidding me. It's not going to, it's going to take forever. By that time, it's too late. These are the laws that are passed by your elected officials. That someone can get their house ripped from them because someone said he had a right to be there. He didn't. Now, my problem is not with the criminal. My problem is with those police officers. I know what some of you are thinking, and you're not going to like this. I don't understand how someone who has sworn to uphold the U.S. Constitution will take a person who has documentation that it's her home away in handcuffs because some criminal told you so. I've modified my, back the blue. It is now, probably as it should have been, on an individual basis. I will give deference, and you could see that they're trying to get to the bottom of it. But then they told her she couldn't change the locks on her own home. Her home, she couldn't change the locks. Imagine someone telling you, you can't change the locks, and if you do, we're taking you to jail. We're talking about destroying America. Things like that destroys America. Just like I said, right by right, square inch by square inch. And these are the laws that are put in place so that these horrible elected officials could pander to the voters. The criminals. Right? Love to know what you guys think about this. This is probably one of the most frustrating things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Joe Biden is bad enough. These illegal aliens is bad enough. But you just saw how to destroy America. Very succinct. Very to the point. Was it not? Did he make some sort of assertion that isn't true? Look, I don't know where we go from here. How do you rectify this? Those elected officials would have to go back and change the laws. What are the odds of that? Man, oh man. You are watching your country being stripped from you. CANDACE tweeted out, or posted on X, "The rumors are true. I am finally free. If you would like to support my work, you can head to CandaceOwen.com, where you will, hang on a second. You will be directed to my locals page, or you can give a gift at GoCandace.com. There will be many announcements in the weeks to come. Now, for those of you who think that this is small potatoes, who gives a crap? Well, hang on a second. You have to know let me ask you something. She's out. She says, "I'm finally free." That's an odd statement to make. once again, I'm not an insider. I am an outsider. I'm just observing everything. When Candace Owens went on Tucker Carlson and pretty much blasted Ben Shapiro, that did not sit well with him. You see, Candace Owens is an America First person, period. America First, period. Full stop, nothing else to say, which I totally understand. And so what she was griping about is, why is everyone going so nuts over what happened? Not what happened, but, giving money to Israel. Why is everyone doing this? What the heck? We got veterans that can't find housing. They're getting kicked out of the hotels to house illegals. She's like, why in the world are we giving money to these other countries where we have all these problems here? She's not wrong. Now, for those of you who have been following my channel, you know how I feel about Israel, okay? And man, I know that my stance on Israel cost me subscribers, which, okay, I understand that. But my supporting Israel has nothing to do with Israel. And I guess that's what people don't get, because most Christians don't understand. Most Christians are biblically illiterate, and so they don't get it. But my support of Israel has nothing to do with Israel. When someone tells me, well, still, Israel's horrible. They've been doing this and they've been doing that, and they've been doing horrible stuff. It's like, I already knew that. Why? Well, I read the Old Testament. Children of Israel, they were god-awful. They did horrible things. All, by the way, in disobedience of God. Yet, they have a place. They are the apple of God's eye, period. It's so, for those of you, so here's what I want to get to. It kind of boils down to this, and this is the scenario that people will give you. Well, do you support Israel or America? What do you mean? Well, you can't support both. Yes, you can. We're not talking about supporting Iran. We're talking about an ally in a region where actually we need an ally. That's first. And then if you don't know, you can go back and look at my videos. There is a spiritual need for Christians to support Israel. Now, this whole thought about, well, you can't love both. I am an American. I am an American first person, but I support Israel. It's really that simple. Those who say, well, you can't have both, you can't support both, it's like, that's a non sequitur. What do you mean you can't support both? Yeah, we can. It's not either or. It's not black and white. Yes, you can support Israel, but you can do it responsibly. How does that escape people? No, I'm being serious. How does that escape people, that you can support them, but you do it responsibly? You don't just hand over billions of dollars with nothing attached. You can support Israel, but you do it responsibly. We have no business giving a red cent to Ukraine. And Candace Owens said some things about Israel that, didn't sit well with, the Daily Wire. You know, those of you who have been following my channel, you know I enjoy the Daily Wire. So that was kind of the first thing that was happening. But then you had this. The ADL, white supremacist and Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes, is praising Candace Owens' vitriolic anti-Semitism. It's hardly surprising, but it does set off alarm bells. When bigoted people come together and push an anti-Semitic agenda, it adds fuel to the fire of hate. Now, for those of you who don't know, ADL is not who they purport to be. Sorry, they're just not. But if Candace Owens agrees with something Nick Fuentes, and he is pegged as some sort of white supremacist, it's like, all right, you know, whatever. Because I don't know what that means anymore. No, seriously, I don't know what that means. Okay, by today's standards, I'm a white supremacist. So give me a break. You can't claim to be free speech and then get mad when people say stuff you don't like. And this fight with the ADL, Candace and the ADL, I think that was another straw on the camel's proverbial back. Then it was the fact that I believe, and this is just me, she became bigger than the Daily Wire. And my guess is she was probably being held back. No, not by you. What are you telling me? You mean that they're holding her back because she's black? No, let me say it like this. Would you have ever thought that Fox News was holding back Tucker Carlson? No one would have thought that. No one would have said that. The guy is getting 3 million viewers a day. No way do you look at Tucker Carlson on Fox News saying that Fox News is holding him back. Well, turns out they were, because now he's bigger than ever. He's bigger than he ever would have been staying at Fox. I think the same is going to be said of Candace Owens. That her voice is going to be way bigger. And the Daily Wire probably was renegotiating a contract and she didn't like the terms because she knows her worth. Look, whether you hate her or love her, she's a firebrand. Okay, she's a firebrand. Now, the reason I don't like this, I don't like infighting. I don't like it when Marjorie Taylor Greene goes after Mike Johnson, and I don't like when Candace Owens goes after the Daily Wire. I don't like infighting. It doesn't serve our purpose. But in this instance, with Candace Owens, my guess is she got bigger than the Daily Wire is allowing her. I'm sure she's got millions. I mean, she had some sort of, star status before she got to the Daily Wire, but at the Daily Wire, she just blew up. And trust me, you haven't heard the last of her. You have not heard the last of her. And this is going to be a voice for conservatives in America because she's an American first person. And we need that voice. Maybe you don't like her. You think she's a loudmouth. Okay, fine. We need this voice, just like we need Marjorie Taylor Greene. Maybe you don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene. We need people like her. This putting Americans first. We need this. Okay, so I understand, people don't like my, supporting Israel, which, okay. All right. But I don't think it's either or. I think you can support Israel responsibly. Look, you know how the saying goes, what they tell you on an airline, that when they're going through all the instructions, they say first, secure your own face mask before you help those around you. Well, we got to first get our act together. And if you haven't been paying attention, it ain't together. So we have no business getting embroiled irresponsibly with Israel at this point. We should support them in as much as we can, but responsibly. You don't just go give them billions of dollars. That just doesn't make any sense. When you have people being evicted from their own home because this country is out of control. We have real problems here. So I know some of you are not going to like this, and it is what it is. I don't know what else to tell you. Okay. All right. That's it for today. Hey, if you'd like to know what I'm smoking, this is the exact same cigar I believe I smoked last week. And this is a New World by AJ Fernandez. And this is the premium aged Cameroon selection. And this is the green one. The other is red. This is green, and it is fabulous. This cigar smokes exactly the same way the other one smoked. That's the brilliance of a well constructed cigar, where you get the same smoke each and every puff. The draw, fabulous. All right, guys, that's it for now. If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe. If you're following me on Rumble, please press that follow button. And I'm really curious to know what you think about Donald Trump, because this is a big deal. Sure, he has the money, but that was for his campaign. That is not to pay Letitia James. You understand that, right? All right. Until the next time, God bless.